Well, state police say now a woman from Canandaigua has embezzled more than $2 million from a Rochester company. Cheyenne Walker joining us now with more on this investigation.
Yes, Don, authorities say Sarah Fantauzzi, the former executive vice president of human resources at R.E.S. Exhibit Services, embezzled more than $2 million over a period of nearly 7 years. The allegation maintains the money was siphoned through unapproved travel, reimbursements, and at times processing 2 paychecks for herself. Court paperwork shows the investigation began in December of 2019, a few months after Fantauzzi voluntarily resigned from R.E.S. Exhibit Services. While preparing taxes for that year, the company allegedly found that Fantauzzi's income was more than it should have been, bringing it to the attention of the company's president and CEO. According to court documents, the company would later find out that this was just a fraction of what Fantauzzi allegedly embezzled. The allegations date back to 2012 when Fantauzzi was hired at R.E.S. Exhibit Services as vice president of human resources with a 6-figure salary, plus benefits. According to court documents, the CEO and president of R.E.S. gave Fantauzzi a personal loan of just under $137,000 to purchase her home, which she paid back. In addition to her compensation, court paperwork says she was gifted a 2016 Range Rover. Fantauzzi was responsible for overseeing the payroll for 100 employees, according to court filings. Investigators say Fantauzzi received 5 checks totaling more than $12,000 through unapproved travel reimbursements in November and December of 2012. Fantauzzi is accused of manipulating the company's payroll system, resulting in her getting 2 paychecks for herself, one at the regular pay rate and one at an amount greater. This allegedly took place from January 2013 through June 2019 when she left the company. All told, the allegations is that Fantauzzi embezzled more than $2 million in nearly 300 payments from the company. She's accused of covering the paper trail by deleting payroll records, check vouchers, personnel change reports, and other files. On June 14, 2019, Fantauzzi voluntarily resigned from R.E.S. State police have charged the Canandaigua woman with first-degree grand larceny. She entered a not guilty plea in Rochester City Court this morning. State police and the Monroe County District Attorney's Office did not have a comment for this report.
Well, new developments tonight in the case of a Canandaigua woman accused of embezzling more than $2 million from her employer. Cheyenne Walker spoke with that company's chief legal officer, who says the stolen money damaged that company badly.
Yes, Don, John DeMarco told me the trade show manufacturer discovered the alleged embezzled money right before the beginning of the pandemic, which hit their industry hard, forcing them to lose 2/3 of their workforce. The company's CEO said in court paperwork Fantauzzi resigned her position on June 14, 2019, to work for a competitor in Massachusetts. The company allegedly discussed Sarah Fantauzzi's non-compete agreement regarding the new job. In December 2019, the CEO's deposition says a forensic audit of R.E.S. books started after a year-end tax work discovered Fantauzzi's income for the year was greater than it should have been. After that audit discovered alleged payment discrepancies, R.E.S. Exhibit Services filed a civil suit against Fantauzzi in 2020 with efforts to freeze her assets and recoup some of the missing $2 million.
Unfortunately, as that civil process unfolded, we came to realize, from the best that we could determine, that there were no substantial assets or bank accounts that would have allowed us to claw back the money that was stolen, and we ultimately abandoned the civil lawsuit because a judgment, in effect, would not have yielded the company any of those monies returning back to us.
According to a forensic audit of R.E.S. payroll included in that abandoned civil lawsuit, Fantauzzi allegedly took an unapproved travel expense of $500 on November 23, 2012. By the end of December 2012, she is accused of taking out over $7,500 in unapproved travel expenses. The forensic audit shows she began doubling her paycheck starting in January 2013.
On both a personal and professional level, it was very, very damaging, very hurtful. And it just it kind of demonstrates to you that you always need to be aware of your finances.
In a deposition, Sarah Fantauzzi denies all allegations of embezzlement and states that all of the payments she received from R.E.S. Exhibit Services were known to senior management, the company called Jimmy Dollars, compensating key R.E.S. executives and management personnel. Her deposition adds, quote, Leonardo told me to pay myself, Jimmy Dollars, in an amount I needed, whether for living expenses, family vacations, or extraordinary family expenses. Her deposition also maintains that, quote, Leonardo often told me, typically when I objected to some irregular or improper practice of R.E.S. or if I objected to his demands, such as when he would call me in the middle of the night, insisting on immediate action of some kind, that he was paying me real well.
It is nevertheless a family-run business at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And when you have family-run businesses, it's certainly the prerogative or in the discretion of the CEO to provide benefits to key employees.
And I reached out to Sarah Fantauzzi for comment and have not yet heard back. I also reached out to her attorney, who had no comment. Fantauzzi's case is scheduled back in court on Friday.